Couple of things I should warn you about when it comes to the host of this platform. He's been known to put dog shit in his boss's office. Offend the petty corner, slap news, and welcome to Slap Son. He's not afraid to call people retards or pickle puffers and often uses the word fuck. He has a history of calling influencers out on their bullshit, and he finds it humorous when he's mocking his competitors. But two things you won't find on his resume are bullshitting his audience and being politically correct. Fuck that noise. If you're okay with all that, then you already know his name. Please welcome the realest slap fighting podcaster on the planet and host of Beyond the Slap, Terry Dunning.
What is going on, people? Welcome to Slap Chat Live. I'm your host, Terry Dunning, and hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm waiting to get a thumbs up here in just a minute before I proceed, and then I'll get into tonight's program. I will try to keep it under 20 minutes, so hopefully I get a thumbs up here in just a second. Let me check my chats, make sure. All right, looks like we're good, so I'm going to go ahead and proceed. Again, welcome to Slap Chat Live. I am your host, Terry Dunning. And a couple topics I want to cover tonight. I may drift off a little. I don't mean to. But again, I will try to keep it under 20 minutes. So let's get started. The first thing I want to cover is women in power slap and slap fighting in general. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but again, there is no women's belt yet. There's not even a women's rankings yet. In fact, if you looked at power slap's most recent card, power slap 18, officially as of right now, there is no women on the main card. And there is no women on the prelim card. The best they could do for women right now is get them on the untelevised, unbroadcast prelim before the event even starts. Why? Why is that? Well, I've been asking questions because you guys look to this platform for a lot of information, and I try my best to bring it to you the best I can. And here's what I'm finding out. First of all, women were brought into the sport for a few different reasons. The obvious is, the draw eyes. Anytime you bring pretty women into any sport, it draws attention. This sport isn't your normal sport, though. And I'm going to cover one reason why they don't like women in the sport. And this may offend a few women, and I don't mean to, but I'm going to tell you what I'm finding out. They brought women in for a few reasons. One is to draw eyes. If you look at a lot of women that power slap used, a lot of them have huge followings, and for other reasons, for martial arts, for their beauty, for different bodybuilding, different reasons, but they had a huge male audience at that. Well, Power Slap was hoping to capitalize on that. They were hoping to draw some of those viewing eyes from some of the women that were brought in, and bring them to their new sport that they were coming out with. It's not working out so well. And I'll tell you a couple reasons. Men in general, a lot of men do not want to see a pretty woman get slapped. They just do not want to see that. It's to watch women MMA was hard to accept to begin with, and it's still not as big as they're making out to be. If you read social media and stuff, women's MMA is just not huge to the general sports audience. But when you talk about women getting slapped, many people just don't want to see that. That's one reason. Now, I will tell you there is some great talent in the women's divisions, and I enjoy it personally, knowing that it's sanctioned and the safety behind it and stuff. But the general audience just wasn't there like they expected. That's one reason. Of course, they were hoping to pull in some of their audience for the views, and that didn't work out. So if you ask me, it's not that they're not being treated right in this sport. It's more that it's not profitable to the promotion that's trying to make it work, in my opinion. You look at this event and there's not a top name woman in the sport. They don't, again, have a ranking for the women. There's no title for the women. And the best they could do, the only name I recognized was Jamie, and she lost her last outing. So I don't think women's sport is really, or women in the sport is really what they thought it would be or what they tried to make it be. But I did talk to people that help build these matches and stuff, and people that are high up in promotions, and they told me, it's although men like to see women, pretty women, promote sports, getting slapped is not a top priority on any man's list. That men don't want to see a pretty woman slapped. So that's a huge thing. But I talked to one promoter and he said personally he just didn't like the way they put women out there, if you will, they put men in the shirts and the joggers, and women, a lot of times you'll see them come out and they'll get down to shorts and tank tops. And not that I have a personal problem with it, just to be clear, but some promoters just thought they were sexualizing the women, hoping that helped, and it didn't really pay off like they thought. I also hear there's money issues with some of the women. Some of the women want more. Of course, some of the women make a lot more on social media than Power Slap's willing to pay them. So there's a lot of factors of why we're not seeing a lot of women. And based on what I'm hearing, the key thing is this. One, the women did not pay off like Power Slap had hoped with their following. Their followers did not jump over and appreciate the people that they were watching for beauty and stuff. They didn't appreciate really seeing them get slapped. So that didn't pay off. That was the biggest thing. And then, just not being able to find women that were willing to do it repeatedly, that had talent, that could draw an audience that would help them. That's the biggest thing I'm hearing. So women, understand, it's not that you all aren't talented. It just doesn't seem beneficial to the promotion, in my opinion, based on what I'm hearing from everybody. And that's why they're not booking you all. I think that there's enough women on the roster that they could put women more on these cards. And to see that there's not a woman on the main event or the prelims televised is beyond me. Where's Paige VanZant? People were asking. I told you about Paige VanZant, and that's my opinion. I stick to it to this day. We haven't seen her since. But I want to move on from that because there's other things that I do want to cover. And the next thing I do want to cover is the fight card. Now, this fight card coming up, some people are very disappointed in this. I'm not one of them people. I'm not super impressed with it. But let me go ahead and share the screen so everybody knows what I'm talking about. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the prelims. This is the early prelims. The first match on this is Glenn Hunter versus Hayden Johnson. Now, Hayden's been waiting for a while. He trained under Pono a little bit. Not exclusively, but a little bit. Pono kind of, brought him into the sport, if you will. But I like Glenn Hunter. I think Glenn might actually pull this one off. And I'm not going to get all of my predictions, but I like this dude. I like what he was doing in camp. A lot of people didn't pay attention to him for being so small, but I think this dude's going to be impressive. And I'm going to skip on to a couple matches through that and go on here to the prelims because there's a few other fights that are very interesting without giving predictions just yet. Luke going against this other guy, man, I'm glad to see Luke's doing better in life right now. I'm glad to see he's definitely away from Siegman, and I'll give my prediction soon. But I think this is a great match for Luke. He needs this right now to come back. So, happy to see that match taking place, although a lot of people are not impressed with this card. I'm happy to see the Rican Rambo get another opportunity. This guy, he messaged me a few times if I heard anything and stuff. So I was glad to see him get booked. This is not a bad card, people. Kalani taking on Casey Stevens is going to be a really good match. Casey Stevens is a world champion over in Slap Fight Championship. Plus, he's an amazing world talented and I believe a world champion in arm wrestling. So I'm super excited to see this match booked as well. But there is a couple matches I do want to cover. Wes Mena, of course, I would say this to Wes. They're trying to promote this guy Zakir. And why, my guess is they're looking for an international market and hoping to feed a little bit off his following. That's my guess. But Wes, watch out for this guy. He's up for a Clubber of the Year award already, man. This guy is not talented in the sport aside from him blowing up balloons and lift cars and shit. Not impressed with this guy at all. He's clubbed his way through to the rankings and shit. But I'm happy to see Wes be the guy to take this guy out, man. And that's my opinion on that. That's not a prediction yet. But Wes, You've got to do this for the sport, man. This guy is being promoted and pushed up the rankings, and he does not deserve it. A lot of people, are being robbed by this guy. Definitely, Wes, handle this situation, man. Definitely handle it. Now, another match that I'm hearing about, being asked about, is the Isaiah match. Isaiah versus Brandon Rhodes. Now, I wasn't the only one to hear this. I've heard this from reliable sources. I question, did I ruin this match for Power Slap? Did I throw a wrench in their plans? Because I can say this: those two monkeys, Brandon Rhodes and Isaiah, are friends. And I don't want to get into name and stuff, so I don't get sued and stuff. But I will say this: I threw out questions before that never got answered about some people that had accusations of cheating in the sport, and Isaiah is with that clique from that time. So I'm really nervous about them pairing Isaiah up against anybody that he's friends with, just because I know his clique that he hangs out with has some questionable stuff that I haven't gotten answers for from reliable sources, and that scared me. So I questioned, did I fuck that match up for him? I know he went on a podcast and tried to belittle his platform, and I made him look like a fucking retard. But we did hear Chief also bring this match up, and other people, behind the scenes have confirmed that this match was supposed to take place. But even Chief mentioned, he didn't feel that those two friends should be going against each other, and I don't either. So I'm happy to say that match didn't take place. But one that is taking place in that, in that division is Azel Rodriguez. I like Azel. I think he's a straight shooter in this sport. Some people criticize him from the season where he was drinking in season 1 and stuff. Hey, man, people drink. People are fucking people. I don't have a problem with that. When it comes to the sport, Azel represents it well. I've never heard anything shady about the man. And I like him going against Brandon Rhodes and killing any idea that Brandon Rhodes might get a chance to go against his friend for that title. So Azel, definitely get that job done over there, man. Man to man, that has to be done. For this sport, it needs it, in my opinion. The Logan versus Allen. Allen did not, I've already said it before, he does not deserve another title shot, in my opinion. Some people have said that was the match of the year. Ron performed well for putting up with that shit. I'm glad again he got the bonus, but that woo every time and flinching was not a match of the year, in my opinion, covering this sport longer than Power Slap has been around. So I'm glad to see Logan getting a shot. Again, I would say to Logan, I'm glad you didn't get a rush right into Ron, but you are a potential down the road for that title, man. I will not deny that. You have definitely brought game to the sport. So I'm glad you're in the run for it. I'm also glad that you didn't get it just yet, man, because when you do go against Ron, I would want to wish you the best of luck just as well. And I think that, with a little bit more preparedness, you might be ready for a title shot here very soon, man. So that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Let's see here. What else did I want to cover here? Make sure I cover everything. All right. Now, some people have asked me why I have stopped interviewing some of the new talent. There's a few reasons. Some of the new talent, when I went and promoted them, they went into bought into bullshit and kind of turned their back on this platform. So I promoted them and they did me dirty with no fucking real reason. They still watch this content, but I don't get the likes and stuff, and they didn't really support me like I supported them, even though when they found out the shit wasn't real. So that's one reason. The other reason is I've been covering this sport longer than any other platform covering this sport, to my knowledge. At least the major ones. I was before the crap news or the slap nuts or whatever the fuck they are. I was before them, and I was before Blojo and the other girl whose platform is since been buried. I've been covering it for a while, and I covered a lot of new talent in the past. I have another life outside this. I do have a kid growing up, and I work a full-time job. So I don't have time to cover everybody that makes a slap on a bag or you get a power score or something like that. To me, I'm a little bit more selective these days, seeing how some of these people turned out, representing the sport. And I don't want to represent somebody that I later find out is a pedophile or some shit like that, man. So I'm very selective these days on who I bring on in an interview. It's nothing personal against the talent. bringing anybody on for interviews. I'm a little bit more selective on who I do. But also, I would say this. People ask me, that same question. I would say, well, Power Slap doesn't share a lot of information with me for many reasons. One, because I don't exclusively cover them. I don't cater to them. I don't sniff their butthole, if you will. I cover all slap fighting. So they don't give me a lot of information, but I do have reliable sources that help me out a lot with Power Slap. Very, very reliable sources. Power Slap doesn't just like this platform for being critical of its performance and shit like that. I can criticize Power Slap all day. They don't have an issue with that. What they have an issue with is me leaking information that they wanted to put out through their preferred platform. That's what Power Slap has an issue with me with. It's not that I can say, the ref didn't do good, because they'll say the same shit. But when I'm calling them out, or when I'm releasing information they don't want out yet, that pisses them off. And that's my opinion. So with that said, I think I've covered everything. I did keep it under 20 minutes, but let me just look over my list. Yeah, I think that's going to do it. With that said, I do want to thank everybody for watching this week's edition of Slap Chat Live. If you haven't liked the video yet, please do so. And if you're not following this platform, you need to do so. With that said, hold on, I do have something going on here. Oh, yep, people are telling me all good. All right, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and bounce. You all have a kick-ass week.
Joe's girl's got a belly that jiggles when moves. He's the king of the flash, yeah, he's got the groove. Sits in his chair, puffing clouds to the moon. His laugh's like thunder, you can hear it boom. Chunky Terry's got the mic, watch him go. Lighten up the truth while smoke billows slow. Making competition look dumb on the show. Chunky Terry's groove, baby, don't you know? Hell, dig through the dirt, find the gold in the grime. He's the Sherlock of podcasts, solving truths in no time. Got a joke for the jokers, a burn for the fools. Terry's the professor, rewriting the rules. He's got that wit, sharper than a blade. Takes no prisoners, leaves no shade.